I went and saw Ant-Man and Quantumania. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff, man. I ain't gonna spoil it for y'all, for all the Marvel fans in here, man. Give me a thumbs up in the building if you went and saw Ant-Man. If you went and saw Ant-Man, give me a thumbs up and give me, give me a 1 to 10 rating. Give me a 1 to 10 rating on what you thought about Ant-Man, Quantumania, Kang, and all that good stuff. Bro, I don't know if YouTube is bugging or what. I don't know what. There we go. Now I got 96 viewers. I don't know what's going on. The chat is buggy. Let me go and check out the YouTube joint because this is trip. Maybe it's because I'm solo. I don't know what's going on. Let me see here. Let me get into this control room here. This is wild. This is kind of crazy. All right. Let me see. It just I don't know what's going on with YouTube, man. They don't want me to pod, yo. YouTube don't want me to pod, B. It's some wild stuff going on right now. I see I only got like 77 viewers. I'm not sure what's going on, yo. YouTube is bugging. They said Ant-Man was a 3 out of 10. I thought it was cool. 5 out of 10. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, bro. It's tripping right now. But anyway, we gonna get it cracking. We're gonna get it cracking. Real quick, I am going to invite some folks to come on to the stream. Because I am solo. It's kind of awkward getting up here and live streaming by myself. So I am going to invite some folks to come on the show and pod with your boy. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna get this pod going. Before we get into the pod, I do want to talk about a few things here. Let me get in this presentation mode real quick. Yo, YouTube does not want me to pod. I don't know what's going on. Let me get this. That's who they is, by the way. If you ever was wondering who they was, bro, it's got to be YouTube. They be tripping sometimes. All right, here we go. All right, so we got to talk about the news of the day. Well, of yesterday. We got to talk about JJ Janson. JJ Janson gets a 1-year deal to come back to the Panthers for his 15th year. Crazy. Shout out to JJ Janson, man. You know, the other guy tried to get JJ up out of here. The other guy named Matt Rule tried to get JJ up out of here, but it is what it is. And come to find out, man, I just so happened to turn on TV this weekend, and I saw that the other guy that we drafted is now playing in the XFL, which is crazy to me, bro. It's crazy. That's crazy to me, man. The other guy that we drafted, I think Thomas Fletcher was his name, is now in the XFL, long snapping for the XFL. Meanwhile, one of the guys we chose over him, i.e. Trey Smith, has a Super Bowl ring because he landed with the right squad with the Kansas City Chiefs. So shout out to Trey Smith, man. That's the guy I was pounding the table for during the draft. I was pounding the table for him. No, we didn't get him. Obviously, Chiefs ended up snatching him up. We were citing all kind of issues, and I saw something the other day that on Twitter talking about how a lot of teams didn't have him on the board, citing medical issues, but didn't even like go through the process to validate it. Like they didn't even they weren't even on his board, or he wasn't even on a lot of teams' boards. So they talk about, medical and all that, but they didn't even, come on, man. Come on, B. But it is what it is, man. Shout out to JJ Janson. Shout out to JJ Janson for staying true and coming back to the boys after 15 years, still rocking with us. This is his fourth head coach. He's been around a super long time. Shout out to JJ Janson. I got to get a couple 44 jerseys signed before he gets up out of here. Because I rock with JJ. He's been around for an extremely long time. So shout out to JJ Janson. All right. I'll wait for it to come on Disney Plus. Y'all still talking about Ant-Man? Yeah, it was cool, man. It's Ant-Man. Ant-Man is all right. I liked it. It was all good. I ain't gonna hold you. I thought it was cool. But shout out to JJ Janson. All right. Now, real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and invite some folks to come on. Let's get a couple people into this stream. So The link is in the pinned comment on in the YouTube chat. So if you want to hop in, the only requirement I have is that you cam up. I don't like talking to the people, and I'm talking to a blank avatar. Man, cam up so I can see your face. That's the only thing I ask. So jump into the stream, and I'll let some folks in. I'll let about 4 or 5 people. I don't want to get too overcrowded, but I'll let a couple people in here, and we're gonna talk about these coaches, man. We're just gonna shoot the shit and really just talk about them. And then we're gonna after this band of coaches, we'll go and then we'll talk about some of this 3-4 defense, because I did release a video about the 3-4 defense, and it's getting a little buzz out in the streets. So I just want to go over some things and kind of talk about what we've done in history as far as 3-4 defense. But yeah, man, it's talking statues. Yeah, man. Yeah, so Nolan, what's good, man? Can you cam up, Nolan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you cam up though? Is what I said.
Oh yeah, I'm driving right now. I can
okay.
Cam up.
Yeah, stay safe. No, y'all want. I'm good with you. I see your face. I know what you look like.
All right.
So all right. So any thoughts? And we got Noli. Shout out to Noli. Noli's in the building. I want to get your overall thoughts. First of all, from the press conferences today, that's gonna be my first topic, and then just kind of give me your overall thoughts on, if you listen to them, and give me your overall thoughts on this coaching staff.
I mean, it's kind of the reaction, same reaction you had when Reich was at the press conference. Hashtag pause, getting turned on.
You were turned on too. It's okay. It's okay, man. It's okay.
Pause on that, but bro, it's just after 2.5 years of this, the clown we had. It was just so refreshing to hear actual grown men who are, just the difference between Caldwell and Reich and Rule. It just feels good to know that we have the right people in the building. So I definitely watched the press conferences. Caldwell was my favorite coaching hire. I think he kind of undersold himself in the press conference of how involved or valuable he'll be, but I think that's huge. But yeah, I guess you said the first thing is the press conferences. Yeah, I would like to know more what they think about the players currently on the roster, but I don't think we're going to get that until they really dive in. I'm curious how much Ejiro. My burning question, I guess, is just the defense, because I also saw your 3-4 defense today. And, I mean, as much as, we're excited about Ejiro, I don't know if we got the personnel for it quite yet. I think maybe if he's here for year 2, that's where you're going to see the defense kind of shine. But I'm interested, honestly, to see how they use and maybe that's your second question, how the questions about how he uses Chinn and Lulu. But I guess your first question, excited. Press conferences, man. I've never been this excited for a press conference since Cam came back.
Yeah. No, I think a couple things from and welcome SC Bass to the stream. Appreciate you, bro. I know you're driving. Be safe out there, man. Keep your eyes on the road, dog. Keep your eyes on the road. So couple things with Frank Reich. I know we got a lot of questions. And I know you like a lot of people have questions about the personnel and what they think. Every personnel question was pretty much dodged. They asked him about the quarterbacks, and he was like, "Nah." And bruh, he's been like knee deep in this staff, right? So I give him credit for that, and I understand the fact that he can't answer questions regarding the quarterbacks. I get it, completely understand it. But he did drop a lot of nuggets on a couple of things. So of course he dropped the bomb that we will be running a 3-4 defense.
Yes.
That was huge. We did. That's something that we all thought was going to happen, especially when you talk about bringing in Dom Capers and then the hiring of an outside linebackers coach. To me, that signaled everything I needed to know. So I just want to say this. I really hope y'all are like tuned in with PNP, because a lot of stuff that we be saying, like we dropped like little tea leaves and stuff be coming true, bro. Like if you pay attention to the minor details and piece it together, stuff that we be saying, it be really true. Like I'll give Dave a lot of credit, and I didn't know this either, but Dave came up here the other day and said, "Yo, Caldwell situation about how he was from the Carolinas and his family was." Yo, I had no idea, and I had no clue. And I'm tapped in, like, and I had no idea. And so for him to come up here, and that's basically what his whole press conference was about. Yo, I'm from North Carolina, and it just made sense. And I'm like, yo, fam, Dave pretty much said that, and I didn't know until Dave said it. Go ahead, SC Bass.
Well, I was going to say that's interesting, and I heard that on the press conference myself. And I looked at his resume. I didn't see any blips on, why he was in the Carolinas. I know with Frank Reich, he was a quarterback here. But even with Frank Reich, I didn't know that his family, they had a home here. He said even for years, even traveling around the National Football League, his family was here. So there's a lot of hometown connections, and that's good because Deuce Staley's from Columbia, so about an hour away. So there's a lot of hometown connections. We'll see where that leads to, but that's pretty interesting. We haven't seen that here. I don't think we've ever seen that here. So.
All right. Well, welcome in, Busy B. What's good with you, man? Like he's still Busy B. You straight? Like he's still trying to get connected. Busy B, what's good, man?
Yo, what's up, Rashad?
Okay. All right. What's good, man? Yeah, I can hear you just fine. You sound good.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride all day, 1000% Aggie Pride. Now I feel whole. I got another Aggie. Now I can actually run the show properly. Now the two Aggies are on the stream. Shout out to Dave. But all right, so real quick, Busy B, what's good with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. Just enjoying what I'm doing good, bro. It's what the Panthers are doing right now, man.
All right. So, really quick, again with the press conferences, what else did he talk about? I'm trying to remember what else he was saying during this press conference. Oh, another big thing.
Are we talking about Reich or Caldwell?
Reich. I'm sorry. I'm still on Reich.
Okay.
I'm still on Reich.
Right.
Yeah. So one thing he did say was, again, we all talked about this prior to the Thomas Brown hiring, that he confirmed that he was going to, in fact, call plays. He said, I'm going to call the plays. It's going to be tough for me to pass it over. But he mentioned that, I'm going to start off with the play calling. And then at some point in the future, we will pass it off. And when the timing is right, we'll make that happen. And this is pretty much, again, if you follow the tea leaves, if you've been listening to PNP, we've been saying that for a long time. Like, it's cool because Reich is going to call the plays. Doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. They're going to lean on each other. Thomas Brown will be an integral part of the situation. But at the end of the day, it's Reich's thing. And he's going to rock with it, at least until he feels comfortable with handing it over. And I have no problem with that. Again, he already said, I'm leaning on Thomas Brown, and we've been already passing some things off or passing things in between each other. So that's a good look. That's a good look for him. Yeah. So shout out to Thomas Brown, and I can't wait to see what he has to offer as far as the offense goes. Any other thoughts on welcome, Christian? What's good, man? How you feeling?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. What you feeling about? How you feeling about Reich's press conference?
You just hit on it right now, Thomas Brown. Definitely love that actual hire, and I also love the fact that we're actually going to build within the system, as you mentioned earlier in the press conference, for basically making sure you hire people who can step into the roles when those two coordinators do end up becoming head coaches.
Yeah, and that's a great point. One thing I did like that he mentioned was like, we gonna have, and I think somebody said in the chat, Deontay White said, we about to have a coaching factory. It's true. He wants, and that's a part of this, right? He wants all these guys to end up getting jobs elsewhere, and that's dope. You can see a lot of these guys in this here picture might not be with us next year, but in the next couple of years, bro, these dudes are gonna be head coaches, which is in turn gonna give us some draft picks, and we're playing chess. Again, listen to me say that now, because 2 years from now, when we start to collect these draft picks for these guys getting head coaching jobs, you're going to be prepared for it, right? A lot of the things we've been saying, we prepare you for the Thomas Brown hiring. We prepare you for the Evero hiring, excuse me. A lot of the stuff that is happening, we've been saying it. So I love what's going on. Anything else on the Frank Reich press conference? I don't know what else did I miss anything as far as what he was saying?
No, they just didn't get into. I mean, I think the next conference I want to hear is the combine, because I think fans are just eager about the quarterback. He kept getting asked about that, and they're going to dance around the question for obvious reasons. But if I had to put my money on it, with everything we've gone through with veterans and what he went through in Indianapolis, I think we're getting a rookie. I think the media just keeps pressing and asking him.
Yeah. And I'm not mad at the rookie at all. I mean, that's kind of what I've been pushing this whole time. So let's quickly talk about Jim Caldwell, because Jim Caldwell got up there, and like Noli said earlier, he was like super humble. Like he wasn't really he was laughing up there, like real kind of chill, laid back. I think this hire, he talked about how he's going to be integrated with all facets of the game, offense, defense. He's going to be in all the meeting rooms, and he's going to be sitting there waiting for someone to essentially ask him a question. If somebody's looking for some help, he's going to be there. But he's not looking to impose his will upon anybody. He's got connections with a lot of people on this coaching staff. So he talked about Thomas Brown, how he had a quarterback symposium with Thomas Brown, and how he enjoyed it and is happy for him to be on this team. And he said he didn't have anything to do with him coming here, but he's happy that Thomas Brown is here. What else did he talk about? What else did I miss? Anybody else want to jump in on the Caldwell press conference?
I think the big thing that Caldwell was pointing out was the fact that he was that these being instrumental in providing avenues for more minority candidates between the GM route and also through QE Summit. That was a huge thing that he actually ended up talking about. I'm glad he brought it up.
Yeah. And he also mentioned how he did not want to essentially be a head coach anymore. I don't know how true that is. But he was like, yeah, I'm not really interested in becoming a head coach anymore. It's not really on my radar. He said this particular situation fit so well that obviously him being living in the Carolinas, which again, I had no idea he was living right here in the Carolinas. His kids like in Raleigh, and somebody's lives in an Indian Trail or something. I can't remember what suburbs he was saying, but he's got some family in and around Charlotte and in Raleigh and a couple other places. But I didn't know he was that integrated in the Carolinas. So he said in this situation, and I'm quite sure, although he ain't gonna say it, I'm quite sure the bag was pretty nice to come back. I'm pretty sure the bag was good enough. And going back to Frank Reich for a quick second, Frank Reich also mentioned how Tepper was not shy when it comes to cutting the check for these guys. He said that, he said it during a press conference about how Tepper is going to be supportive, but he actually backed it up when it came to cutting the check for these guys. Because you got to remember, a lot of these guys were getting head coaching job or head coaching interviews elsewhere, which means that they probably could have went and chose anywhere. We were in competition for a lot of these guys for other teams, and Tep said, it is what I'm cutting it back. And like I said, like he said, like we've been saying, there is no salary cap for coaching. Nobody cares. Nobody in this chat or on the stream or in the stand should care how much these coordinators are getting coached or getting paid, because it doesn't count towards anything. It doesn't really matter. Nobody cares. Okay. So as long as they're here, that's what matters. And moving forward, I think Tepper is going to continue to buy his way to the best coaching staff there is. And I think he's done that. Now, I think another interesting thing that Frank Reich said was it's about 10% of the entire thing here, right? So the coaching is only 10% of it. The players is the 90%. So we got to get the right players to execute the system. But at the same time, the other 10% is the coaching, and he feels like we have the one of the best coaching staffs in the league. So I think that was dope. Anything else on Caldwell?
I think the direct quote on that was actually it was like 80-10%, and then 100% of that 10% was the actual quote. Right. It's a good quote. That's a honest, like when you hear Frank talk. I just want to say this really quick. When you hear Frank talk compared to the other guy, man, it's a breath of fresh air. When you hear this man talk and actually knows how to talk football, it's nice. It's a breath of fresh air. That's all I can really say.
Nah, I agree. Go ahead, Noli.
Yeah, I was just going to echo off that. And I really like this coaching staff because, obviously, there's some players that want Wilkes, but with the staff he's assembled, there's not, we didn't hire. That's why I was against the young shot OC. We're not hiring this staff right here. Instant credibility. When you look at the players that have played, when you look at Reich, Caldwell, like they're going to have instant credibility, which is, in my opinion, going to be huge because, obviously there's going to be players on our staff that are like, man, obviously I wish I had Wilkes, but I think any worries we had of players not buying in, I mean, this staff right here, I don't see any issues winning over players because, I mean, it's legit.
No, I completely agree. Like there's not a name on here that I question at all. I think this I'm impressed. I can't wait to see what they do. It just quickly going through some of the other guys. I mean, you talk about Deuce Staley. I mean, Deuce, I'm telling y'all, man, I cannot wait until Deuce Staley gets out there at training camp, man. This dude's energy is ridiculous. Like, he's the type of guy between him and D'Angelo Hall, bro, the offense versus defense, that chip it, yo, they are going to be yapping at each other. Yo, it's going to be must-see TV, bro. I cannot wait to see that, man. I really can. It's going to be good stuff. Go ahead, Nolan.
I forgot about that. That's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. So, yeah, Deuce Staley, again, great. And I think Deuce Staley's on his way to a head coaching job at some point, too. He's assistant head coach. He's been an assistant head coach role now for 2 teams, for the Lions and now the Panthers. I think he's on his way to getting a head coaching job really soon, like in the next 2 or 3 years. He'll probably be a head coach somewhere. Thomas Brown, I think, again, hot name, coming from that McVay tree. Like, you got to pay attention to the tea leaves and these different trees that are being built. People want that knowledge, right? They want to pick from the brains of the people who have done this and been successful. You see all these Super Bowls up here, right? And you look at the main guys, like around, like look at the top of it. Like, you talk about, and I didn't really realize this until I put this together. But if you look at the top of this, you see 2 Super Bowls from each of these guys, and that's pure coincidence. I didn't as I put this together, it just clicked that way. So Deuce Staley, being assistant head coach, has two Super Bowl rings, right? One is a player, one is a coach. Same with Frank Reich, right? Frank Reich has 2 Super Bowl rings. Jim Caldwell, 2 Super Bowl rings. Thomas Brown, one ring. He's now a coordinator. Evero, 1 ring as a coordinator. Now, so you look at the leadership, bro. Look at the leadership of this team, bro. Like, all of these guys, the top coordinators, except for Tabor, have rings. That says, to me, that says a lot. They've been there, they've done that, they know what it takes. Even if their part was minute, they were in the buildings. They know what it takes, right, to make this thing happen. So I looked at that and I'm like, yo, that's bananas to me. That's dope. So then you talk about Dom Capers. Again, Dom Capers and Evero, bro. And this is why I see people already talking about, oh, we don't have the personnel for the 3-4. Bro, I have zero concerns. And I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later, about the last time we had a 3-4 defense versus now. I think it's going to be a little different because of who is at the helm and who's leading the defense from a coordination standpoint. But, bro, I think it's crazy. It's going to be crazy. So a couple other people on this, camping. We all love camping. We love camping. Old school cat, offensive line. He's got the offensive line playing extremely well. Hopefully we bring back Bozeman. Bozeman will solidify that line for another couple of years. Hopefully give him like a 3-4 year deal that will solidify this line for the next couple of years from a contract standpoint, and that's what we need. They need to start getting some chemistry together, and it's going to be great. McCown, I think McCown is a great hire. Josh McCown, he's doing his thing with Underdog Fantasy. Got the YouTube channel breaking down all the quarterbacks. He's released a ton of videos about the course. So each quarterback that we talked about, go watch his scout. He's gonna be telling the coaches the same thing, right? He's gonna be telling the scout department, gonna be telling Scott Fitter and all these guys, hey, the same things. So you can see who he likes, and his opinion is gonna matter, right? So if you go and watch those videos, you're gonna get a quick inkling of what's gonna happen from a quarterback standpoint. Let me see who else I'm gonna call out here. Sean Jefferson, bro. I didn't get a chance to talk about Sean Jefferson, but bro, I think that's a great hire, bro. And listen, I was banging the table for Ricky Pro, and shout out to Ricky Pro, who I believe is in the XFL with his son. But fam, Sean Jefferson, bro. I remember watching this dude as a kid. I remember him playing for the Patriots in the big Patriot logos on the side. Like, that's how I remember Sean Jefferson. But dude, he's obviously father of Van Jefferson. He's coached Megatron. He's coached D-Hop. Like, he's coached some really, really good wide receivers, bro. And I'm not saying that obviously those guys are talented on their own, but he knows how to help get the best out of those guys. And so he's been around elite talent. He knows what it looks like and can help us get the best out of our guys, and then in turn scout the correct guys. He's seen it. He knows what it looks like. So that's another low-key hire that I'm really happy about, even though we didn't get the guy that I liked. And the tight end coach, we'll talk about the potential tight end coach, the guy that's been named. We'll talk about him in a second. But before I flip over to the defensive side, is there any thoughts on the offensive side for anybody in the stream right now? Anything? Y'all good? All right. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think all good hires, man. I mean, like I said, a lot of experience and the coaches. I think, like Reich was saying, they all can bring something to the table, and no ego is too big.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. All right. So any other thoughts on the offensive side before I flip over to defense? Good. Everybody good?
I was just gonna say, like, the only quarterback that McCown didn't do a review on was Anthony Richardson. Out of the top 4, he did on Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Will Levis.
I think he was in the
I'm
process.
curious what he thinks on AR.
I think he
I
was
just
in the
want like a
process
full
of
review of
doing
what he
it.
thinks.
He's in the process of doing it, but then he got hired, so team probably told him, "Let's stop right there."
Don't do that. Don't do that. That could be inkling too, right? Hey, don't do that, Anthony Richardson. We might draft that guy. Don't do that. But yeah, so just go watch the 3 that are out there then. If that's the case. Jay, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Sean?
Any thoughts on the offensive side of the football before we move over to the defensive side?
So the only thing that kind of in the whole press conference that kind of caught me off guard was when Reich kind of was asked a question about his the list that he brought in before being hired, so to speak, and he was kind of asked a good question, like, did he get his top choices? And he had a kind of shaky response, especially when it came to Thomas Brown, because he said Thomas Brown wasn't even on his radar. So that kind of makes me think that we missed out on possibly his first of 5 choices at offensive coordinator, and maybe we had to kind of settle for Thomas Brown. I know he was kind of a hot name, sort of, but how much of it was Sean McVay and how much of it was him in that system?
Yeah, I mean that's not surprising though, because when you heard Frank talk about the potential coordinators and him, whether he was going to call the plays or not, he mentioned, he was like, "Yo, it depends on who we get." And so obviously, with him coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm calling the plays," he didn't get the guy he wanted, because if he got the guy he wanted, he would have gladly handed over the play calling duties. So that's not a surprise.
Who do you think was his number 1 choice?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't who all got hired. I don't even know who got hired.
It was rumored they were looking at Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson? You mean Ben Johnson?
Brian.
No, Brian
the Eagles
Johnson,
QB coach.
Yeah.
My thing is, I think Brown is a better fit because you already got a QB guy in Reich. You got a QB guy in McCown and Caldwell. And what is Brian Johnson known for? Developing QBs. With Thomas Brown having more of a running back background, I think it's a perfect blend, in my opinion, to be honest. Because you might
have a tight end background too. So.
Yeah. And I think Brown is a perfect fit. I would have loved Johnson, but I think Brown is a better fit because they already got a lot of QB guys in there. So.
Yeah, that was my only thing I kind of got from the kind of worrying thing that I got from the news conference was that it was kind of obvious that it wasn't his first guy.
Let me say this: you shouldn't be worried about anything because Frank Reich's calling the plays at the end of the day. Like what's the alternative, right? We get a offensive coordinator that's going to call plays, or we're going to have Frank Reich call the plays. Either way, we're in a much better situation than we were in, and I think Frank Reich is more than capable of leading the offense, no matter who who the OC was. So
this is probably our best offensive play caller since Shula, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But all right, let's switch over to defense real quick. Let's talk about this defense because we're gonna talk about defense. Then we'll talk about the vacancy at tight end coach, and then we'll flip into the 3-4. But again, Evero or Ezero Evero. Sorry, I keep butchering this name. I want to reverse it. But listen, this is a great hire. I like it. I think again, you talk about a guy that was getting a couple of head coaching job offers elsewhere. They decided to go elsewhere, which left him in a situation where he was either going to go back to Denver, and I'm pretty sure Sean Payton and them, he obviously had to give him permission to go out there and interview. They did that, and he ends up getting hired ends up taking the job with us. But then also with that, Dom Capers come along with them. Those guys were together last year and led that defense to, I think, the 7th-ranked defense overall last year. Pretty solid considering their offense was trash. Didn't give them any help. So, and again, I think they traded Chubb away. And then I believe Randy Gregory got hurt. So all that considering, they were still a very, very good defense. And so I'm more than happy with Evero at defensive coordinator. And I'm happy that we're finally switching to 3-4 because I think people are worried about the personnel. I think it fits us better, especially when you talk about the elite talent that we have in Brian Burns. I think it fits him better than it does. And I think Jared Brown also will benefit from playing in the 3-4 as well. But I like this. And then you talk about the secondary guys, Jonathan Cooley. I like that. I like that hire as well. D'Angelo Hall. I love that. People are questioning that hire. Bro, I love that hire because you need D'Angelo he plays with a little bit different sauce. So I think that him with JC, it's just gonna bring the best out of JC. And then potentially with all these guys, just imagine the connections that these guys have. You want to talk about Jalen Ramsey, a potential guy that we could trade for. I'm not saying we should, not saying we shouldn't, but I'm just saying these guys have the connections to get that done. Between Evero, Cooley, these guys can make that happen. So I think that's with these guys being secondary coaches like Evero and Cooley. Evero is a secondary guy. That's his thing, right? And I think that's the weakness of our defense right now. Everybody's concerned about the front seven, whether we have personnel for that. Bro, they'll get that figured out. We need to figure out the damn secondary, bro. Like, that's where I'm concerned. Because if you look at what the Broncos did, bro, they blitzed a lot and they put a lot of pressure on their cornerbacks to lock up. And if we can't, given what we have right now, we can't do that. We can't do that. So I think we need to figure that cornerback room out, or at least try to get the best out of CJ Henderson. But some's got to give there. But I really like this defensive staff. Todd Wash, I think, is a great hire from the defensive line standpoint. I love that. Lukabu, whatever how you say his name. I don't know too much about that. I don't know too much about his background. I know he's a college guy and was defensive coordinator there, but I really ain't got too much to say about him or Hanson or these other smaller guys. But I like Cooley, I D'Angelo Hall, love Capers, and I love Evero.
Hey, Rashad, I have a question here. So, which guy do you automatically, if you look at this list, right, on the defensive side, who do you think is the guy that's going to be the guy to replace Ejiro when he gets a head coach job here in the next year or two?
That's a good question. I think that's why you. Ooh, that's a great question. I guess from a seniority standpoint, it's probably got to be Todd Wash. Just because he's been a DC before. He's kind of been around the block. But at the same time, if you want to think about a guy that's got another bright future, you can think about Cooley as well. But I think Todd Wash, to answer the question, in the short term, probably be Todd Wash.
Can we see the same thing on the offensive side? Who do you think would be the replacement on there, or is there just going to be internal growth?
I think
Brown's going anywhere for 2 years.
Yeah. You took it out of my mouth. I think Thomas Brown is gonna hit my bad. I think Thomas Brown is gonna be around for a couple years. But down the road, I can see Josh McCown getting elevated. And I think Deuce is gonna get out of here, and then over the next couple years, he's gonna get hired somewhere else. So I would probably say either McCown. I'm not too sure about Parks Frazier. I keep an eye on Parks Frazier, pass game coordinator. I keep an eye on him, but I think McCown or Frazier probably.
Yeah, Deuce probably is only going to be here as long as his mother's health is the way that it is, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think he's going to be gone in the next couple of years. Either he's going to get picked or head coach. Something's going to happen with Staley. So we'll see.
Yeah. His move here was a complete lateral move. I mean, the exact same position. He was assistant head coach there with the Lions and running backs coach. He's only here. Yeah, he's only here because his mom is, isn't not the greatest of health. So if she goes or she goes, like that happens, or she gets better, something along those lines. It solves itself there.
All right. Hey Jay, you breaking up a little bit, bro. I don't know what's up, but you breaking up a little bit.
You hear me a little better now?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
All right, sorry about that. That was the microphone.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying, as soon as that kind of resolves itself, good or bad, he's probably going to get a call almost, immediately in terms of either an OC or a head coach position.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree with you. And then obviously we have special teams. We love Tabor. Fitzsimmons don't have anything bad to say about him. But this staff is great, man. I love the staff. And I think moving forward down the road, we have a bright future. And I just hope we continue to build upon this. I'm interested to see who else, if we're going to bring in some more assistants down the road, to see like who we're grooming, right? Because that matters to me. I want to see who else that we're bringing in behind these guys. Because you're right. And I think even Frank Reich knows this. These guys are getting plucked. Like, it's going to happen. These guys are going to get taken as soon as we see success. And I said that too on this podcast. As soon as we see success, these guys are getting snatched. They're getting snatched, and we just got to be prepared for that. So I'm interested to see who else we bring in behind some of these guys.
I don't know if you know this. Maybe you do, but Sean Jefferson is actually the father of Van Jefferson, and I really like Van Jefferson's game. He's a wide receiver for the Rams. He won Super Bowl with them 2 years ago. So I don't know. Maybe that's a chance to get kind of a field stretcher of a wide receiver over here as at least a third option, because that's pretty much what he's been over at the Rams for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I agree. I knew Van Jefferson was his son, but I feel like, and I'm not sure where his contract status or what his contract status is. But wide receivers, bro, you can get wide receivers this draft is stocked full of them. So I'm not really too concerned about getting specifically Van Jefferson. You can get a wide receiver anywhere. All right, so let's move on real quick because I want to talk about this tight end coach. This dude John Lilly. So this guy right now is the tight ends coach for UNC. And so he's got 1 year of NFL coaching experience. When he was with the Browns, he's got a really long, extensive coaching resume in college, but not in the NFL. So there's some stats. If you go and pull up his profile on I think on UNC's website, like it boasts where he has. Let me just pull it up so I can read from it instead of guessing. 1 second, y'all. I didn't know anything about this cat, but this is one that they're saying keep an eye out on. I've seen a couple reports today, but just talking about his time at Cleveland, he said Lilly's tight ends produced the 4th most touchdown receptions in the NFL, and his unit was one of only 2 groups in the league that had 4 tight ends catch a touchdown pass. But that was his only year. He's got a 30-year resume of coaching at the college realm and in the NFL. But I don't. Yeah, it's a lot of college here. And I used to coach at Florida State too, which is crazy. Going back to the old days with Bobby Bowden. He's got an extensive college resume, bro. But NFL wise, I'm not too sure. I'm not. If I were to like look at a bunch of names, he wouldn't be the top of my list. But this is kind of what's out there right now. So I'm just put that together because that's really the only guy that's been tied to this job so far. And keep in mind, yes, I do know that Thomas Brown is a tight ends coach, so he could play double duty there. They just have yet to announce that. Go ahead. Somebody was gonna say something there.
No, I don't think so.
I guess I can question it. So what kind of like roles did he do in college? Like you said, it's extensive. Is it like more of just mainly tight ends, or is he had other?
So he
UNCs?
So he actually he's from Greensboro too. Actually, he used to coach at Northwest Guilford High School. Which is kind of crazy. Let me see. I can read off his resume. He was the tight ends coach and recruiting coordinator from 1998 to 2007 with Florida State. He was on the 1999 championship roster. Not on the roster, but he coached some guys that were on that roster. Let's see here. He also was he led or guided Georgia's punt unit. So some special teams there. He coached actually also coaching the Rams too. So he actually has probably 2 years worth of tight end experience. Let me see here. Yep, he had 1 year stint as the Rams tight end coach. So that should be a 2. My apologies. 2 years. He coached Lance Kendricks to a career high 50 receptions with the Rams. He spent 2018 with University of Tennessee as assistant head coach. He was at Georgia from 2008 to 2015 as what was he in that tight ends coach there as well. So a lot of tight ends. He's coached a lot of guys, man. A lot of tight end experience at the a lot of experience coaching tight ends. But I didn't see like, oh, he coached like Travis Kelce or he coached like Tony Gonzalez. It was nothing like that popped out to me. So it's nothing like that to hang his hat on. I don't know. It's tight ends coach, so I'm not like tripping off of it, but it's just it kind of is what it is. Any other thoughts on this cat?
I mean, I'm a UNC fan, and I didn't even know this guy's name, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tight ends coach, man.
Same here. I'm a USC fan. I don't even know who this guy really is. I know Mac Brown. I know who that is.
I'll say this. We got a couple of good young tight ends for UNC. Bo Morales last couple of years has done really well. We got a guy this year kind of break out as well. So I mean, he did good with the tight ends that we did have at UNC. So if that's at least some type of sign pointing to something good, maybe that is.
Yeah, we'll see. And again, nothing is official. They just announced this, that he is. I think I saw Joe Person or somebody tweet that he could be a candidate to keep an eye on. So I just want to get ahead of the game just in case that we do hire him. We're kind of aware of what's going on. So anyway, shout out to John Lilly. Maybe he comes down, maybe he doesn't. We'll see. But he is, again, from the area. Real quick, follow us at Panther Nation PC, all that good stuff. Patreon.com/Panther Nation PC. I saw Landon in the chat earlier. I'm not sure if Landon's still here, but Landon, I finally put that Luke Kuechly picture for you in the mail. Should be there in the next couple of days. MVP, shout out to all the MVPs in the building. Shout out to all the franchise folks, and shout out to the free agents. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all support. And shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Dave is not here, so I won't play the whole thing, but go over to Underdog Fantasy if you're into the fantasy stuff and all the pick'ems and all that good stuff. Sign up using the code PNP. That will help us out tremendously. All right. Appreciate y'all. All right. So let's talk about this 3-4 defense for a quick second, because again, it was all the rage once it was announced that we are officially transitioning to a 3-4 base defense. Now, that does not mean we'll be in 3-4 all the time. We'll be play multiple fronts, but the 3-4 will be our base.
Man, that's
so. Yep, say that again.
I said, man, that D tackle, that free safety,
yeah,
the D ends there. I mean, Derek Brown obviously is great, but there's some spots there that kind of glare that don't really transition to a 3-4 too well.
Yeah, so just kind of walking through this, I have some concerns, and I put the video out earlier today. If you want to hear my full thought process on the 3-4 is there, but we'll kind of walk through this a little bit. Yetur, bro, so initially I thought that he would be a good fit until I started comparing what the Broncos had versus Yetur, just from a size standpoint. And just what they're looking for. All their guys, even the rotational guys, were near 300 pounds. And it just makes sense when it comes to that defense and the structure and what you're asking these guys to do. In that, they have to play 1.5 gaps, sometimes 2 gaps. So you've got to be strong and a big guy and athletic to be a defensive end in a 3-4 defense. I just don't know that Yetur is big enough or strong enough to play. Now I think he's just built to play a 3-4 rotational run stopping 4-3, defensive end. I just think that's his role. I think he's a rotational guy, and I think he should be. I'm gonna put out a video about this too. I think he needs to be on high alert, bro. He's a guy that needs to be on high alert for his job, because when you get a new system, if there's a new view on everything, nobody's safe. And so I just think that when you put on the film, is Yetur popping out? Like, is he doing his thing? I just don't. It's no hate, man, because I like Yetur. I like them coming out of college. I just don't know. I just don't know that. I haven't seen it, and this is year 4 for him, bro. This is a contract year for him. Go ahead, y'all. Y'all can jump in.
Yeah, he's just not. I think if he was like really, I mean, my thing is he wasn't even good in a 4-3. Like, if he was a good pass rusher, I think you would find a role for him. But he's just, I mean, he wasn't even good in a 4-3. Because, like, size-wise, you'd probably, I mean, what is Yetur? 6'4", 2 what?
He's like barely 250, 260, something like that.
He's
Yeah,
like
so that's like
240.
DeMarcus. He's like DeMarcus Ware, I guess, size-wise. But DeMarcus Ware is a Hall of Fame. You know, obviously, bad example. But the point I'm trying to get at is if he could rush the passer, you could find him. You know, you could put him opposite Brian Burns. But
I'll say this. I think he would be an edge setter in a 3-4 as an outside linebacker. So
Yes.
if we have a run package in terms of stopping the run,
yeah.
that's when he would become viable. But that's not worth money. And
Personally,
you need to be versatile. You need to be able to play set
And
the
rush the
edge. You need to be
passer.
able to rush the passer.
Yeah.
I mean, he could play that, not the jack linebacker, but he could play the other side. He could play that, that will. And I don't know. For me personally, there's 2 names out there for free agency that I really wish we look at, and that's A'Shawn Robinson,
Oh, yeah.
and that's Draymond Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Draymond
Yeah.
Jones is coming
Draymond.
from Evero's system.
correct. Absolutely.
And he would be perfect for
I
just
agree.
coming in, because he automatically knows what is expected of him.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
even Matt Ioannidis, because Matt Ioannidis, if we re-sign him, he's got plenty of experience in a 3-4. He knows how to play gaps. So
I agree.
I hope we at least try to bring back Ioannidis, and then at least try to go after one of those guys. If you put one of those 2 guys with Ioannidis and Derek Brown on our front 3,
Mhm.
I mean, I think we're automatically set up for success. And then we draft like a middle linebacker
Yeah.
to kind of put competition in with Brandon Smith and Shaq if we end up re-signing Shaq. Somebody like a Henry TuaTua or like a Jack Campbell, those type of guys I think would be perfect to just kind of slot in first time or first day.
So,
All right,
Rashad, my bad. I was just going to say, in my opinion, I think Luvu would be an inside linebacker. I could see
Nah,
that.
I disagree.
I think his rush
I
ability
disagree.
let's speed off the
To
edges.
me,
Is
the
what
guy-
we need.
To me, the guy that would be perfect opposite Burns, that Drew Sanders from Arkansas. Oh my, because he was a DN at
Sanders is
Alabama.
nice.
You put him opposite Burns. It's just Luvu. He's what? What does he weigh?
He's 6'3", like 240 something. That's
Okay,
not
He's a
bad.
thick boy.
Okay.
I don't think
he's
his
pretty
size is a
So you
problem.
think he can be
He's just
Hassan
impressive.
Reddick like in terms of?
I think the benefit of Frankie Luvu in that outside linebacker role is that he's nice in coverage too.
Okay.
That's the thing that nobody's talking about, because sometimes he's going to be lined up against a tight end and he's got to be able to cover. And so I think that's where you get the benefit, because he can do it all. Luvu can do it all. And and when I looked at this, when I first started putting this 3-4 together, I'm like, man, I gotta put Luvu out here. But I'm really underestimating how good Luvu is. Like, people are really tripping on how good Luvu is. Like, he's pretty solid, bro. Like,
Yo, his
I think he's
stats
gonna do
were
nothing.
OG.
I think he's gonna do in this system. He's gonna be good. He's gonna be much better.
So you don't.
And I think
I think it
too.
just
I
fits better.
think we really
I think
need
he's
to
more
give.
destructive outside linebacker than when you pair him with Brian Burns on the outside. It's just way more disruptive. He's gonna get way more at the quarterback than people realize. He's gonna get way more than last year.
Yeah, because
That's
that
what
outside
versus-
linebacker position doesn't just rush the quarterback. They have to
Right.
drop back in
They
the
have to
cover.
cover.
Right. they do.
But I say this. I really hope we give Barno a chance to
Yes.
shine.
Oh, he's gonna eat. Barno, that's I think that's why everybody's so like uptight about this. But bro, the guys you have on your I think when you talk about this 3-4 defense, the most important piece is having those guys that can rush, those athletic guys that can rush the passer. Barno, bro, he ran what a 4. What do you run like a 4-3, 4-2? Bro, this dude is an elite athlete. That's where you get the best out of him, not his hand in the dirt in a 4-3. He's a 3. He's an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense, bro. And that's where you get the best. You're gonna get the best out of Brian Burns. Like Brian Burns had a monster year, but putting him in a 3-4, bro, it completely changes everything, bro. It changes everything.
Rashad, are the outside linebackers interchangeable? Because in my opinion, yes, Burns, you got to be able to drop, but I don't want Brian Burns dropping back into coverage that much. I want him rushing the passer.
He's got to drop back into coverage, bro.
We had the same argument when we had Hassan. We had the same argument when we had Hassan. With people with him dropping back in coverage when Phil would switch to 3-4, and people were complaining about Brian not rushing the quarterback. Even though when he had some game-changing plays when he put into coverage, like he can do it all. He can definitely do it.
My thing is his strong suit is rushing the passer. You need these dudes rushing the passer the majority of the time, and occasionally.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm saying.
But you got to think of a guy like Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb in that Evero defense, like bro, he dropped back a lot too. Like people don't just because he's like not rushing the passer 100% of the time doesn't mean he's Brian Burns is an elite athlete, bro. You have to get him out in cover and allow somebody else. You have to switch it up. And I think that's what Evero is going to do. And I think that's what Vic Fangio did. When you talk about Vic Fangio's system, it's all about confusion. You line up one way and then you change it right at the last minute. You got to confuse these guys. So maybe sometimes you give that Brian Burns threat, but then when he drops back, you're like, oh shit. And then you got to worry about Frankie Louvu coming off the edge. So you got to mix it up. You got to mix it up.
Do you have a slide of, I guess, the sub package? Because we know we're going to be in that 70 to 80% of the time. So obviously this would look different.
No, I don't have that.
Okay,
I don't have that. And it's, I think I don't, because there's a lot of question marks, bro. I just have the base for right now. And I think
that's cool.
when I get into the secondary piece of it, because I haven't talked about the secondary, because I got some concerns when it comes to the secondary.
Tons of concerns.
And so you're right. So I haven't jumped into that just yet because I think I need to understand more about how Evero deploys his coverages. Because Fangio, the way he did it, it's kind of crazy. Like it was a lot of zone, and he ran cover 2, cover 6, some cover 8. It was some weird shit. So I need to understand a little bit more how Evero does it, and I don't understand it.
So if you had to guess, you think it's for sure Louvu's going to be outside. You don't think there's any
I think he's best. He's best outside, bro. And I did. I'm not gonna lie. I did grapple with that a little bit, but I think given his skill set, bro, he's gonna be best as an outside linebacker. That's just my personal opinion. Now, so one that you could debate with me though is Brandon Smith, because I went back and forth on this too, and I feel like Brandon Smith, excuse me. Right, my bad. Brandon Smith, I think, he could be that Micah Parsons, as well. Like he's super athletic. He's got the size to play that, but I feel like he's so good because he's good in coverage and he's so athletic. Because people forget playing those inside linebacker role, bro. You've got to be big enough to stuff the run gaps. That's why I'm concerned about Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson to me is not big enough to play inside linebacker full time. Go ahead, Christian.
Oh, and I was just going to point out on Shaq just in general, because he's also he's a question mark right now with the cap casualty possibility.
Correct.
If he doesn't extend. And, we can't just resign him. We have to actually fully extend him on the contract basis. But I don't think he's fast enough for a 3-4. Just personally, I don't think he is. But he's definitely not big enough.
I don't think he's big enough.
6 foot, right?
He's 6 foot, but he's like 230 something. And you got to think he's a converted safety. So his frame is filled out, bro. He's not going to get much bigger than what he is. Pause. But Brandon Smith is athletic enough. He's big enough, to play the inside linebacker. Now, what we don't have is another guy to play alongside of Brandon Smith. It could be Corey Littleton if we decide to extend him. I don't mind going that route. But I'm concerned about that other interior linebacker because I don't see anybody. That's where I'm concerned there. We don't have another linebacker that's big enough to play that and good enough in coverage. That's why I love Corey Littleton, because Corey Littleton is really good in coverage. He's a really good cover linebacker. Him and Brandon Smith are really good at cover linebackers. They will cause a lot of problems as a tandem. So I'm not mad at bringing back Corey Littleton. Spoiler alert for his sign and walk.
That's a lot of speed on defense between Smith, Burns, Luvu, Barno. Sheesh.
Yeah. And I love Barno, bro. I love Barno in rotation. Coming off, bro, he's gonna be a problem. He's got to get a little bit bigger, but he's gonna be a problem, yo, a serious problem. Anybody got thoughts about Derrick Brown playing defensive end versus nose tackle?
Nah, he plays defensive end in this scheme 100%.
Agreed.
Yeah, he has too many pass rushing ability to just pencil him in at nose tackle.
I'll say he's not big enough to play what we need for this type of defense. You need to have literally the nose tackle's job is to plug holes. He's not big enough. He's like what, 310, I think.
He's like 6'5", 320.
He's like
is he 320?
He can definitely play. He can definitely play nose tackle.
He can play the nose tackle.
I think he's too fast. He's too fast. I think on the edge.
Yeah, and I said this in the video that I think you would do a disservice to Derrick Brown putting him at nose tackle because he's so good at rushing the passer that you would essentially eliminate, because he's gonna get double teamed all the time at nose tackle, bro. Yeah. Like, so you got to get him out on one-on-ones and let him beat somebody. But I think I don't know who's gonna play nose tackle. I wouldn't mind giving Marquand McCall a shot. I think Roy could do it in rotation, but we don't have that nose tackle, in my opinion. That killer inside that can really, like, I like the kid from Baylor. I think that would be a good look. I just don't know about drafting him in a second, because that's where he's going to probably go. I think we got some other needs personally that I take over nose tackle in a second, but so I'm not. I think Marquand can do it, but I think in order to solidify the front three, we got to get Ioannidis. We got to get Ioannidis back, bro. I think having him back, I think he's a linchpin to really making this thing work, because again, I think it was said before, somebody said it, he's done it before. Like when he was with the football team, the command, I can't say Commanders. That's like a terrible name. But with them, he did that and he was pretty good at it. So I definitely would bring Ioannidis back, whatever it takes to get him back.
So I'll say this, free agency is pretty much flush. Huge. With defensive line tackle or the defensive tackle, defensive edge for a 3-4. I mean, hell, you got Javon Hargraves hitting, you got Dalvin Tomlinson, you got Sheldon Rankins all hitting. Like all those guys would come in on like a pretty low veteran contract too.
Yeah, if you, Sean Robinson is going to be a free agent. He's currently with the Rams. He's got some experience with that coaching staff as well. Plus, there's a guy. Mike Parcells from Denver. He played backup nose tackle up there. He's going to be a free agent. And there's another guy, Jones or something over there for Denver, is going to be a free agent. So there is guys we can pick up that's got familiarity with this defense.
I think Draymond Jones, the Broncos were not going to franchise tag him. As far as I was tracking what I saw on
we need to bring him in. Yeah, he'd be somebody I bring in again, because he's familiar with the system. I would definitely bring him in for sure.
I think the franchise tag right now is like 18 for defense tackles and 19 for defensive ends. So I don't think they're going to drop the bag on him like that.
Sean Robinson, I looked him up today. He's like 6'4" and 330 pounds. I didn't realize he's that big. But
bring him
he
in.
Can play nose.
Okay, so let me ask y'all this, because I think this comes up. It's gonna come up a lot too. Jeremy Chinn. What do we do with Jeremy Chinn?
Move him towards the line of scrimmage, and I think what Evero needs to do is go back and watch the film from his rookie year, and you got to be creative the way you use him. But he can't be a deep safety. That's not his skill set. Just use him wisely. I don't think obviously now with the 3-4, I don't think he's going to fit at linebacker, but you just got to get him near the line of scrimmage and not just have him be a deep safety, in my opinion.
Kind of like a joker role.
Yep.
I think he has to be a roamer. has to just remain in that kind of like, I don't know, positional area. He has to, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough with him because a lot of people say, yeah, move him to linebacker, but bro, he's not big enough. He is not big enough to play consistently, pause, in the middle. He's just not. He's not he's like 230. He can't 220, excuse me. He's not big enough. And I just really think that maybe sometimes you can put him down there, pause, but he's just not not full time, bro. Not full time. And when you think about Fangio, and again, we talk about Fangio versus Evero, they're two different. They're kind of derived from the same thing, but it's different. Evero or Fangio likes his safeties to play. He likes to play too high. He likes too high, but he also likes them to be interchangeable, right? He likes his guys to be able to be free and play in the box. So when you talk about Xavier Woods, I don't know that I have two. They're not. Our safeties right now are not interchangeable.
No,
they have very specific skill sets. So I think that's where you're going to see some
skills are spotty.
Yeah,
right. And so that's where I think you're going to have some question marks with the safety position. I don't know what we do with Jeremy Chinn, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think y'all may not like this, but he needs to be on alert, bro. Like
Whoa.
This is year. I'm not saying cut him. That's not what I'm saying.
I know.
I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying he needs to. He gonna have to man up. He's gonna have to play, bro. He
needs to have his rookie year all over again. Basically, that's what he needs. To stay.
And he's like, to me, I go back to that Minnesota game his rookie year where he had touchdowns on back-to-back plays. What was he doing? He was up near the line of scrimmage, making an impact. I don't, I was kind of not checked out, but like, I don't know what they did between year 1 and 2, but to me, what you saw year 1, I mean, that's just not a fluke. Like, I mean, he was making plays. I don't think he lost that ability. Obviously, his role changed. And maybe part of that was him saying, hey, I just want to be a safety, and the coaches listen. But, like, he's too good of a player to not make an impact. Like, I don't think it's a flash in the pan. And, again, I think back to that Minnesota game where literally he made back-to-back plays up near the line of scrimmage. Like, Evero's a good enough coach. They're going to find a way to use him.
They got to find a way.
Exactly.
Look, my ceiling for him, and I keep going back. I've said this a million times. I need him to be Derwin James. Like that's what I need him to be Derwin James. I think listen. That's my when I think about a safety being that hybrid role. That's who I think about, and I have not seen that since the rookie season. And shout out again, we give him all the shit in the world, but that other guy and Phil Snow had him balling, bro. And we have not seen it since then.
You got to look at
they're questionable in general.
Correct.
Just in general, you got Woods who couldn't catch a single interception, even though it damn near in his hands
terrible,
like
bro.
20 times this
He was
year.
terrible.
And
You
got Jeremy who lacks in coverage. So really, I mean, like you go back to the Scott Fitterer press conference where he was saying like, a ball hawk safety. We got to find something.
Jesse Bates. That's my number one.
Gotta drop that bag. Gotta drop the bag.
Yeah.
I think you'll see,
It's
I
not
think
even-
you
it's
will
not
see
worth
more
going
of a
through.
single high coverage though with the way it has to run with Jeremy. You're going to have to kind of leave Woods and
I don't think that's
Island Land,
again.
I guess. And I don't know
they're
about
gonna
that.
have to figure. Yeah, they're gonna have to figure it out because again, if we're pulling from Fangio likes that cover 2. They play a lot of double high safeties, and I don't know that you might see Jeremy Chinn like come in and be like that nickel guy in the sub packages, but I don't know that he's gonna be a full time. I don't know. The safety position needs some work. And the cornerbacks that would Dante Jackson and Henderson, bro. I got concerns, B.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern because we can talk about the back end. The way that Evero likes to run his coverage is putting his guys on an island. Dante can't survive on that island.
Yep.
Henderson can't survive on that island, and JC just doesn't stay fucking healthy.
Yep. And so, shout out real quick. Let me get the super chat. He says we can do occasional single high if we sign Bates.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know how Evero wants to run it, but real quick on that thought that Jay was saying, that you're absolutely right. Evero, and out of his 3-4, loves to blitz. He absolutely loves the blitz. He said, whatever it takes. Sometimes I got to bring 5-6 guys. We got to get to the quarterback, but at the same time, we got to be able to cover. If we can't cover on the outside, bro, and they for some reason they don't get there, bro, we're gonna get picked apart. And so I don't know that he's going to be able to trust our secondary the way he trusts Justin Simmons and Surtain and all those guys. I don't know that, bro. I don't know that we got that, man. I'm concerned.
That's why I'm happy about Jonathan Cooley and D'Angelo Hall coming in to cover that cornerback room. I think that's it's complete like an elevation on it, just in general. Hopefully the coaching gets them, what they need.
I don't know how much. I mean, I agree with you, but like, are they going to all of a sudden make Keith Taylor and CJ Henderson better? I mean,
yeah, we need to pray to
players. We need players.
We need to pray to the cornerback guys to hopefully we can get CJ Henderson back on the right track, man. I got hope, but it ain't looking too pretty, bro.
We need some dudes. We need some dudes, bro. Let's keep it a buck.
We just go out. I mean, is anybody?
We do.
No one's really mentioned this. No one's really mentioned this, but I mean, is there any chance we could bring back Bradbury home? I mean,
I don't think he's it, man. I don't think
he's not.
He's taking a 3-year, $51 million contract projected wise, right? It's like 3 years, $51 million, like projected.
I saw that flying around. No, I'm good. I'm good on that too.
You ain't paying that for Bradbury. Could have paid for that like 3 or 4 years ago.
You say that, but he helped change that Philadelphia defense.
That was Hassan Reddick. That was mainly Reddick.
They were nice up front too. Like they were really nice pass rush. That helps. It's gonna make a lot of mid cornerbacks look pretty good when you got a pass rush like that.
Also, Darius Slay was lighting it up all year. Like he was like not talked about a lot, but he was doing a lot better than Bradbury was.
Bradbury was an All-Pro.
Yeah,
that defense as a whole, bro. It's just like when you go back to our Pro Bowl, our Super Bowl year, and we had like all them cats in the Pro Bowl. Like that's what happens when you have a world beating. Their defense was great. Their entire defense was good. So everybody's gonna get the credit when the entire defense is good. They had a history they had had the most sacks or something like that, and they were really good as a defense as a whole. So I mean that just happens when everybody's good. All right. So any thoughts on, man? We got some work to do on the secondary, and I got a part 2 coming out on the 3-4 defense and the coverages. I just need to look a little bit more into how Evero deploys his secondary. I know it's a lot more man than Fangio ran, because I know Fangio ran a lot of zone when he was with the Broncos.
I think,
and typically in his systems.
I think you can go ahead and erase YGM and put TBA.
Yeah, I was gonna say vacant. I was gonna say vacant. Yeah, I was gonna say vacant, but I didn't want to be that disrespectful. He was on the roster.
Iron Ice is definitely going to come in and take that defensive end slot, and then you'll see YGM if he stays on the team. You're going to see YGM coming in on the run stop defense,
and so
it's a runner package. You're going to see in there.
Yeah, and just for the record, all these guys are they're signed, and all these guys are under contract. So I didn't put anybody that was potentially gonna be. These are all guys currently under contract with the Panthers. So as we start to sign guys, I'll update this and we'll get better. I should have made a heat map with this as well. I'll do that next time. Real quick super chat. Shout out to Ivan. He says if we get Forbes cornerback, can we put Dante as safety? That could be an option. I think we might we could see that actually. I don't know. I think that's certainly a possibility, moving Dante to safety. I think it's a possibility. Real quick, I want to go back to the 2019 version of the 3-4 defense. The last time we had a 3-4, this is what it looked like.
Trash.
Well, we had some guys.
We had dudes playing out of position. I felt so bad for
Luke.
You remember the amount of times he was getting frustrated because them 3 dudes up front wouldn't occupy the blocks. I felt so bad.
Yeah, so we had up front, we have Vernon Butler, Dontari Poe, and aging Gerald McCoy. I thought McCoy played well that year, and I thought Poe was decent. but Vernon Butler was Vernon Butler. And at the cornerbacks, we had Bradbury, we had Jackson, Dante Jackson. And this was Brian Burns' rookie year when he was playing gunner. This is why he's not on this 3-4 right here, because he was playing gunner in special teams and not playing in the rotation. But Bruce Irvin, we're not going. I cannot tolerate any Bruce Irvin disrespect to this day. So Bruce Irvin was here, and Mario Addison. Mario Addison had 11 sacks. Again, playing that defense, that jack role in this defense. I think anybody playing that role is going to have a decent amount of sacks if you're athletic enough. Shaq was there playing inside linebacker, and also along with Luke. Obviously, Luke was Pro Bowler that year, still had a great year. And then up top, we had Eric Reed and Trey Boston. This was the last time we had it. And then remember the circumstances surrounding this 3-4. This 3-4 was pretty much forced upon Rivera by David Tepper. David Tepper said, pretty much said, you got to make this switch. And that's what happened. And the defense was very mid. I think we were ranked 20th in the league, or in the 20s, depending on what situation you're looking at. It wasn't a very good defense. So, yeah.
Yeah, just not enough time to switch. I remember that year. We started out hot, and then remember after that 5-3 start, once the team started to falter, so did the run defense. And this is the year Rivera got fired. So,
yeah, it is. It is. Yep. This is the year that ended it. Yep. So, yeah, we did. I think so. Let me ask y'all this. Let me ask y'all in the chat this question. My bad. I did spell Kuechly wrong. Yeah, my bad. The H is close to the K. My bad. But let me ask y'all this: which situation is better? Like, do you think this situation is better than our current situation from a personnel standpoint? How do y'all feel about it?
I miss Luke. I mean, from looking at this and looking at what we got now, I mean, honestly, we need a general to command that defense, and we don't have that right now.
But you answered the question. You got to answer the question. What situation do you feel better about?
I feel better with our current situation because I feel like we're younger than that defense was.
I feel like this defense, the defense we have now, is more speed. I think that allows the ability to get more into the face. I think it's a better situation. You just need better corners.
Yep, better situation we have now, in my opinion. With youth, I don't even think it's a discussion. I mean, these dudes were playing out of positions, and I mean, Irvin and Addison could play 3-4, but it's just we already have some 3-4 pieces with Burns, Luvu. Like you said, 3-4 was forced on Rivera, so they had to scramble in 1 year. And people forget we also drafted Christian Miller that year. Like it was very, piecemeal together last minute. Whereas now, not saying, we've drafted Barno last year in the 6th round, who isn't a 4-3 end, but hey, we drafted him, off upside, right? So we've already been drafting some 3-4 players. So we're definitely in a better situation.
I think it's a good situation because you know that 3-4 is going to stay. That's something I think it's key too, because you know that 3-4 is going to stay. Whoever is going to take on the role, Passagiero, like you're going to draft players to the 3-4. You're not going to change the 3-4 when he leaves.
Yeah, and organizational shift is huge because we're going to be drafting 3-4 players for years to come, and now since we already have a head start, that's big.
Yeah, man. We'll see. It's gonna be interesting. Strap in, folks. And again, I think we're gonna have a lot of personnel changes. So y'all, again, I say this every single year in the offseason, man. Y'all have got to detach yourself from some of these guys. I know we love some guys we know are untouched. We know Brian Burns is probably not gonna go anywhere. But some of these other guys, bro, you really detach yourself, man. You got to become numb. Some of these guys might get moved. They might get cut. You never know. There's going to be some new guys in town. Evero has to do what's best for his scheme and for his scheme to work. So if he needs to cut X person to bring in Y person, it's going to happen. Okay, so just
Hey,
prepare
Rashad,
yourselves. Yes, sir.
after Smitty 89, I can handle anything.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm at. A lot of y'all should be numb by now, man. Y'all should be numb, but it never fails. Anytime somebody y'all like gets cut, y'all start going crazy. So I just want to. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but just prepare yourselves. Anybody could go. When it's new, everything is gonna be new, and I think this team and Tepper, they want to be successful sooner rather than later. So whatever it takes to get these guys in shape and get them going, to get the defense to work the way they want it to work, they're gonna do it. And that should tell you all you need to know from a personnel standpoint. And with all that money they put into this coaching staff, bro, it's gonna translate. Okay, give me 1 second.
I think this year is more definitive because you have a lot of guys who are key players that are going to be coming back on their option years coming up between Chinn and Derek and a couple other guys. I can't remember who else.
Is this already year 4 for Chinn? Oh my god!
It is year 4 for Chinn,
Wow.
YGM, all these guys, bro.
So contract year.
Yeah, contract year for them. Franchise tag year for Derek Brown. And today's the first day for franchise tags to start getting rolled out. So
do we have any idea who could get a franchise tag on that subject? I mean,
I don't think we're gonna put anyone on the tag.
I meant 5th-year option for Derek Brown. My bad.
Yeah, 5th year.
But my fault.
well, franchise tag did happen today. Like the window opens today.
Yeah. The franchise tag window. But I mean, okay. My bad. Yeah. I did. Yeah, but yeah, I think the only person that could be of conversation could be Bozeman. But that's a lot. It's like an $18 million tag. I don't think we do that. If we do it, I think it'll be moved extremely quick into a long-term deal. But I don't think anybody else. I don't see anybody else getting tagged personally outside of him.
Yeah, no, we've been pretty bad the past couple of years. But overall, to me, this moves up Drew Sanders on my draft board. I've just been watching some film.
Yeah, I picked him up. I picked him up on my last my draft Monday.
He looks like a problem. Converted D end.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
And so the only concern with him was the fact that we were running a 4-3. Now that we made the official switch, it changes the board.
You put him opposite Burns?
Yeah. I think we're in good shape, man. But again, here's another thing I want to say. This is another disclaimer. Do not be surprised if a lot of draft capital is spent on the defensive side of football. Again, we're going through a complete change, a scheme change defensively. They're going to invest capital to get some youth in here. So if I'm not saying it's going to be entire defensive draft, but outside of, I know we're probably going to take a quarterback, but outside of that, it might be all defense. And so just prepare yourselves for that.
Literally linebacker, cornerback, safety,
yeah,
the end, 4 positions right there.
All of the above. All of the above. Nose tackle potentially, all of the above, man. All of the above. But yeah, man. So I think that was all all season dates are still the same. That's all I had, man. That's all I had. Any final thoughts before I wrap this thing up and get up out of here?
What is your dream free agent signing?
Oh, that's a great, bro. You know what? I haven't even put any thought into that, to be honest with you. But I would say if there's one guy we can go out there and grab, and I have not dug into the numbers. I don't even know if it's possible. But if there was any way we can get Jalen Ramsey, that's who I want. Get me Jalen Ramsey over here to the Carolina Panthers. That's like dream. I haven't looked at the rest of the list from a free agency standpoint. I'll start to put that together here pretty soon. But that's really all I can think of at this moment.
Well, I agree with you. He's not technically a free agent. They've got to release him first.
Yeah,
I think that's.
We can trade for him. Trade for him.
I don't think anybody's trading for him because he's going to be a cap casualty. They can't afford.
What would his going rate be?
Oh, he's going to be ridiculous.
Rounder,
I would say he probably commands at least 25.
He's not getting that on the open market. He's been
Yeah,
getting burned lately.
you do
25.
not think that man, as the reputation he has garnered, is not going to get it upwards of 20 plus? You're out of your mind.
My thing is
Well,
his
you got
last
to see we already
contract was
signed
at
Dante for like what 18, 16 a year
Dante
right
was 13 mil per year. My thing
And
is
Dante is not even in
close.
his stratosphere.
But Jalen, his last contract, it was where he was at his height. It was 5 years, 100 million. The next team that signs him, he's not getting 20 million, in my opinion. He'll get above 15, but I don't think it gets close to 20 because usually players, I don't.
He's
Maybe
in his
I'm wrong.
prime still. He's in his prime.
He
It
is.
doesn't matter.
I'd be shocked if he gets 20 million. I think he can get between 15 and 18 on the open market on a short-term deal, like a year or two, because he probably wants to get paid again. But I could see 20 million again. I just don't know if it's going to be right off the gate. That's all I'm saying.
I'll tell you right now, we're in a good position to go for him, but everything that I'm reading, we're not really in his kind of like wheelhouse.
Yeah. That's understandable. They probably would rather draft and develop. But yeah, cornerback.
Well, no, because you have to think about it. He
wants to
probably
win,
wants to go to
yeah,
a
he wants to go to a winner.
Does he have a no
immediate
trade
winner.
clause on his contract? Probably, right?
No idea.
Yeah, only thing I will say is I'm interested to hear Evero's press conference tomorrow. I expect a lot of dodging, but interested to hear what he has to say because to Rashad's point, I think more draft capital could be used on defense, and maybe a free agency is used to solidify the missing pieces on offense, like tight end, wide receiver, depth on the line, and then maybe we go draft heavy on defense. And to me, that would make more sense. My only question is, how much draft capital are we giving up to get our potential franchise QB? Because I mean, you can't have it. You can't have everything.
Anything it takes.
Exactly.
Whatever it takes, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. But if we have to give up 39 and 68, that's gonna, affect our ability to get some more depth. So, it's a delicate dance they have to play because I do think you're onto something, Rashad. I haven't thought about it until today. I do think they're gonna have to spend a little more draft capital on defense than we expected with this 3-4 change, because it's not only D end. We've been talking about last year how we didn't have a pass rusher opposite Brian Burns. I don't care if they move Luvu outside. You need more pass rushers. Safety, right? If we're going to have Chinn in that role, corner. So, yeah, it's looking like it's about to be, I don't want to say 2020 all defense, but I do think.
No.
I do think
they've already shown their hand of what their intentions are trading up, by the way. They've already shown their hand.
I'm talking more outside of quarterback. I think Rashad is onto something that I haven't seen anyone bring it up. With this 3-4 switch, you will, whether it's free agency, we'll see what they do free agency, but I could definitely see them investing more draft capital on the defense because it's needed.
I would say this. Yeah. Everything is going to come down to, one, Brian Burns' contract, and then restructures. We have to see how much cap we're going to have when it comes to free agency before we start addressing the defense, because I'm guaranteed they're not going to want to bring in a bunch of young kids to adapt to a change in system. They're going to want some veterans, and they're going to want to have some guys probably that are used to their system, which is why I brought up like Draymond Jones, for instance. I think he's a top candidate to come in and slide in. You got a guy like Alex Singleton as well, who played in Evero's system as a middle linebacker. He could come in and, not necessarily be a plug and play guy, but he could be a guy on a veteran minimum, like $1-2 million, and come in and be like almost like a teaching voice in that room. So there's going to be lower signings to fill holes in terms of depth and leadership positions that I think we're not going to be able to address by going defense heavy in the draft. So I think everything's going to come down to Burns, how much we pay Burns. We have to see what that cap hit's going to be. And obviously we can kick the can down the road with a big ass signing bonus this year. So technically we won't have a lot of cap, tied up into him, but still we would have to see what his cap hit's going to be for next year before we start kind of signing a bunch of dudes. Yeah, signing a bunch of dudes. Plus, we need to see who we actually restructure, who's going to be a part of the future. Because whenever you restructure a guy, that's you saying you're going to hold on to that guy for an extended period of time, or you're going to be in the situation that we found ourselves in, trading Christian, cutting guys, trading Robbie, where we get dead caps. So I think a lot of what's going to happen in the offseason in terms of like draft wise is going to come from who we actually restructure.
I think next year's draft capital is like all fair game because next year's cap is like pretty high, right? It's like almost close to 90 mil, I do believe, if the cap space is what I saw last.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the stuff next year is going to be like you could take a lot of that from next year and throw it this year, trade up, not to worry about using too much of the capital from this year, just to secure what you need this year.
Now, Shot, I have a question too, Shot. What do you think? Let's say worst case, we can't find a way to move up for our guy. Do you think we settle for Anthony Richardson in the 10 at the top 10, or do you think we trade back and take a chance at getting Anthony Richardson, or do we kick the can down the road and maybe try for a guy like Drake May or Caleb Williams next year?
no.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see anything happening for a future quarterback. I think there's zero chance we leave this draft without taking a quarterback, whether it be at 9 or we take them later at 15 or whatever. I don't think there's a situation where we leave this draft without a quarterback taken in the first round.
So what do you say? So let's say we risk it, we trade back, and somebody says, "Fuck it, we're going to take Anthony Richardson." Who do you think is our guy then? Because then I think after Richardson, it is a steep drop off.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's why I don't see that happening. I think either you take your guy at 9, or I don't think they're going to play around with it.
There's no way you can play around.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to play. I think either they're going to go get their guy or they're going to be intentional about taking it. We can play hypotheticals about what if we trade.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening back. I don't see that happening.
I hope not. Yeah, I want to get our guy, solidify our guy, because we haven't had a guy for a very long time. So
I just hope it doesn't come down to where they miss out on their guy and they have to draft like a guy like Hendon Hooker and then have a competition between Corral and Hooker.
Yeah,
It's not built for the future.
They're gonna pick whoever. I think they've got a guy. I think they know who they want. I think they'll do whatever it takes to get him. That's just my personal opinion. All right. That said, is there anything else that you all want to talk about before we get up? I got to get up out of here anyway. Actually, 9:30 is a good stop time, so there is nothing to talk about. I'm gonna go ahead and kill this thing. Yeah. Hey, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, all that good stuff, man. Dave should be back next week. We'll holler at y'all. This is fun. I got more content coming throughout the week, so make sure y'all check all that stuff out. But yeah, man, we out. Appreciate y'all jumping on with us, man.
Appreciate it.
Holler at y'all.
Thank you.
Peace out, y'all.